welcome to the 6th episode of Few Dollars More. It's the second time this month, well, it's a new year, so not exactly, the second time that we've seen a new release, but this was just talking, so we don't spoil it before you having a chance. This episode is on Paul Verhoeven's latest film, Elle. It's in French, and we're going to be talking about things that happen right now. So turn it off if you don't want this film ruined for you, and there's a lot here to ruin, so let's get into it. So yeah, you talked about it during the regular episode. Starts with a rape. Not sexy in any way.
No.
And
no.
How
not
cool
at all.
is it that that becomes a role-playing sex fantasy?
I don't know about
right?
cool.
Am I alone on that?
I mean, cool's not the way I would use it. That is messed up. If you want to talk about that relationship there right away, because it's revealed that it's the neighbor across the street.
Mm-hmm.
That
who has
basically,
a wife.
yeah, who has a wife, who seems like a really nice guy, like, or just in general, like a good neighborhood man who just wants to fuck her, but cannot really get off on it unless he's raping her, and it's just messed up. I mean, you know, the main line,
thing, man.
The main line that you had, like, of why he did it, and he just says, like, because it's a necessity. That's really all you get.
That's how the world works. This is a realistic movie. This paints a picture of what, not just necessarily what the independent grandmother, well, quote unquote grandmother, goes through in today's society when she's, you know, running a video game studio and getting these weird texts about how tight her pussy is and shit, and balancing like, oh, the man I'm no longer married to, but I'm still in love with, and I'm jealous of his new girlfriend, and at the same time, I'm fucking my best friend's husband. Like, she's going through so many things. She's got so many messed up things going on in her life. And then that's not even talking about, oh yeah, by the way, her dad, and maybe also her, was a serial killer. So, you know.
Which is kind of where it really gets insane. Like,
the whole movie's insane. As soon as it starts and you get a rape scene, and then once you realize, like I said, that it's going to be a recurring thing. Like, I think she always knew it was him. Like, there is that moment of surprise you get.
Uh-huh.
But as soon as she was put in... No. Before that even happens, when he's helping her through the house look for the prowler or whatever on that security check, I think she knew right then. Because I didn't say in the regular episode, but I technically watched this 1.5 times. Last night I started it. I watched about half the thing. I fell asleep, and then I started it all over again because I didn't want to lose the momentum. I didn't want to pick it up halfway, like intermission. And what I was really paying attention to was his introduction in the film, the neighbor. It's him like taking a Christmas tree out of their SUV and setting it up, and you get this little moment where Michelle is kind of like gawking at him, watching him do this stuff, like, oh, like he's pretty sexy, and while this is going on, like she's already having sex with like 2 different people at the same time, I would assume, and it just seemed like she lusts for him, and especially when you have like that peeping Tom moment later in the film with the binoculars. I think maybe she didn't know it was him.
I don't think she knew, because there was definitely
him.
I don't know if she wanted it to be him. I know. Really, just as far as guessing, like, you can see that there's just this distrust of men in general, and there's the one guy that's working in the office that seems
Kevin.
like the very obvious candidate. I think it was Kurt,
the director of the game.
Who just
like, he's a total red herring. Like, I thought,
if it was him, then it would have been like, okay, yeah, it's obvious, but it like you watch this movie and you're just like, no, it can't be. Then again, is it the guy that she's asking to hack all the other computers in the office? Could that have been him? Which it totally plausible, yeah. And in like, some ways, he was definitely guilty of something. But
yeah, he technically raped her over CG.
But there was a mistrust of just almost every other guy that she looked at in detail, that it could have been any of them, and you would have accepted it. But the fact that it is this guy, it really could have made sense, I think, either way that you played it out. Then again, I only have the luxury of seeing this once, so I could be completely wrong on that. But
it's interesting in the way that they set up a lot of things here, in particular the backstory of her family and who her father is, when you get that like scene where she's with her mom and
Uh-huh.
she's like, "Oh, have any incidents happened lately?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" You're like, "Oh, you know." He's like, "Oh yeah, someone threw a pizza at me. People have been looking at me at the
Yeah.
grocery store, but that always happens." And they're just like totally nonchalant about it, and that's how the whole film is. Like, especially when she gets dinner with like her four closest friends, and or three closest friends rather, and she just goes, "Oh yeah, so there's no really way to say this, but I was assaulted. I guess you could say I was raped." And they're like, "What? We just
Well,
ordered
because it is a
champagne."
tough and strange thing for anyone to admit in that situation. But yeah, that is
It's
kind of
the
a thing that's
way
very telling of how
she does it
normalized rape
though.
culture is, like, just in general. Even though this is France, I mean, yeah, like the way she does it, like it's clearly something that bothers her. But like you find out like throughout the course of the movie that she's just dealing with so much shit that she doesn't want to play victim. She's not that type of person
That
at all.
that scene though is so bizarre, just the way it starts. It
Hmm.
begins with her looking for a parking spot, purposely fucking up the fender on her ex-husband's car. She
Yeah.
goes into the restaurant, she gets a drink with him, and then she asks him just point blank, without any recourse, "Am I tight for my age?" And then right after that, like I said, they order champagne, and you know you have whatever his name is, Robert, I believe it is, going, "Wait a couple of minutes to pop that one." And the scene right after this confession, you have him showing up in her office, and she gives him a hand job. She's like, I told you last night, I was raped. And he's like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I need to get off right now.
Hmm.
Like, once that moment, that sequence happens, the whole film becomes like a different monster. That shortly thereafter you are introduced to who her father is, and like the mother drama is accentualized. The son becomes a character. Like, it just, her world and how fucked up everything is, and like you said, that she's just trying to keep on living through it.
Like
You just
it's
go,
just
oh,
family
oh man,
dysfunction, and then this is just another thing on top of that. And
it's like life dysfunction. Like I
it,
said it.
it's like one of those things where it is a serious issue, but it's like,
Mhm.
she just doesn't want to bring it up and all this other stuff because I don't know, like, for whatever reasons why I imagine the moment you bring up like rape, it's like at the dinner table, then everyone just stops and like pays attention like dead seriously, and that would have put every single other issue on the sides. It's so I don't know, just there's something about this where it's such a serious issue that every time we hear about it, like, that's part of what makes this feel real, is because you kind of expect that automatic reaction to be like,
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, are you okay and all that, and I don't know, then you get sob stories, then and then I don't know, maybe there's some Oprah interview or whatever, or at least in a movie there would be. Just, yeah, the way that this plays it out again, man, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I hate defaulting to the term naturalistic because it's a movie, but
It's not what it is. It's just, I said it in the regular review. I said this is probably the most 2016 movie I've seen all year. And the reason for that, I can say now, you got her mom dying, her dad dying.
mhm.
Her son had a kid, except it wasn't actually his. You got her getting raped and then also kind of assaulted through like text and phone calls. Her like a video game studio got hacked, and then she was the subject of like a CG rape video. Just so much shit, okay, that is going wrong for her, and yet she just keeps on soldiering on like the rest of the world
Yeah.
did this past year now, with how many deaths we had, not just in terms of celebrities but personal, and how just every couple of days it seems like something's worse. Like, my car is broken down, like we got stranded, like this happened, like, and it's not just even me,
But you got
like
to keep moving.
yeah,
Like,
it's like everyone I talk to. Yeah, it's like just 2016 sucked, and this film was like 2016 incarnate. Like, I think the reason I bought it for $1 is because if I ever need a reminder about what 2016 was like, I can put this movie
well, it's a
on.
strange life affirming movie too, in that sense of like, hey, no matter how
Yeah,
bad it is, just
could be
keep
worse.
going. Yeah.
Could be worse. Like, her and her best friend at the end, they stay best friends. It seems like it's
Yeah,
just
and
like, his
I mean,
sex
which
was
is
bad
very fitting
anyway.
because they're kind of walking on good terms, kind of happy through a
Through a
graveyard.
cemetery. Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up the entire movie. Is you keep moving on in the worst of circumstances. It
I love how there's like no moment of sadness over her mom dying, and then there's no even like there's more sadness over her dad, and I think that's just because it was her mom's dying wish. But we didn't talk about this in the real show. Let's talk about it here. I love the way how her family background is set up. That you get that little piece of dialogue about like, oh, they're playing the show again, and then it's
Hmm.
her flipping channels, and she literally looks for it, and you get this like cold case files or like unsolved mystery type thing
Yeah.
that just totally paints the backdrop in a found footage type of way, or not found footage, but like true crime, and it does the perfect example of show not tell. Like you could have easily had like her son or her mom or ex-husband or anyone, her best friend going like, "Oh, I heard about your dad. Like, is that fine?" Or you could even just have that moment where
Well, yeah,
she
because they're
tells,
talking about it as like that
yeah,
black stain, where they just refer to it, but they never want to go into detail. You
like
know, it's
you get
you find
details
out
later
enough
on.
glimpses, and but it's like the details that you get like are very interesting
Uh,
because it's details are put out there without them being delivered as details. It's stuff that's like you know what's very interesting is that they talked about all the 27 people that were killed, but they never talked about the dogs.
right? Or
And she's just
the
like, I find that
cats, or that,
fascinating. And
but he
yeah,
didn't kill a
and he let a
hamster.
hamster go, and it's
Um,
like, that's really it's an interesting line coming from that character, and you get a piece of exposition there, but it's not at all it's about in that moment. So it's really brilliant just how it's all delivered, giving you
I
details without really just fully putting it out there, except for that show, which I mean,
the
it's
show's cool.
yeah, it's really like just that whole thing though, man. I'm of two minds of it because it's the one thing where part of me feels like, okay, this is kind of a movie making it a bit overblown or in the book, but then at the same time, it's for a thriller, it's such a fucking fascinating backstory.
I just it seemed natural to me still, because if someone
The
had lived
reaction
through
to
this,
it, like the way that it's
well,
talked
no,
about,
just
yeah.
everything. This is 40 years removed now. It happened in 75. This movie's gonna, we'll call it, takes like it was released in 2016, was probably set place in 2015. So it's like 40 years removed now. If you lived through that kind of trauma, you're probably not going to talk about it, especially if you're a character like Michelle, who, as soon as the movie starts, she didn't go to the cops because she went, oh, they didn't help me during that, so they're definitely not going to help me during this.
Yeah.
Like, they're
I mean,
just going to
she
make it
just
worse.
goes ahead and cleans up all the plates and
Yeah,
stuff,
I'm
which
gonna like I'm in the bath. My like uterus is still
mhm.
bleeding from the salt. I'm just gonna mess up the bubbles and then it'll disappear and I'll forget about it. I'll go to sleep.
The shock is still sort of there, but like she's just thinking practically of like, okay, I have to go get a checkup. I got to make sure I'm okay. But doesn't really spill the details on it. Just kind of lives with it and moves on,
I
or it
think
not
that it
not moves on, but moves forward.
moves forward, and I think that is really probably the best message this film has. And it's the whole thing, not even just about the rape, but you just got to move forward. Like, that is life. Like, you can't take too much time to fret over anything, whether that be someone close to you dying or a relationship ending or your car getting totaled or anything. Like, she goes through so much shit and she's never sulking about it. If this was a traditional film, there would be a scene here where she just breaks down and cries, whether that's like while she's in bed with someone or anything. And instead, the closest like recourse she has, or the only escape she really has, despite her livelihood, publishing books and publishing video games, is literally going into a rape fantasy. That is her only real pleasure she has right now. Like, yeah, she's fucking around,
Hmm.
she's doing this, she's like trying to get like revenge on her husband's girlfriend and like all, or ex-husband, like all this shit is going on at the same time. But it seems to me like the only time she's truly happy here is when she realizes, oh, it's not scary that I was raped, because it's the guy across the way, and the only way he can really get off is if he has a rape fantasy. So I'm gonna live that for him because I kind of like that too. And
It's
it's like,
strange though because it's like I don't know. It's uncomfortable. Like, does it
oh,
normalize
very.
it for her at a certain point? Which I don't know.
This is
It's
something
weird
that
because it's
couples do though. Like when
okay.
you've
Yeah,
been,
yeah, yes. Couples like they have foreplay, they have fantasies, but those are safe because they know that they're getting into them.
she knew she was
There's
getting into this after the second time.
okay. Yes, the first time though,
No,
there's
yeah, that's
no
why
justification for that.
the movie doesn't really start with the rape. Like it kind of, it's the inciting incident. This is a
Hmm.
40-year story, but it's the thing where it's like, okay, let us tell you the story about her now.
Like this is where we finally pick up and like
Yeah,
it's a
the
big piece of like where it leads her, but it really is very much a movie about just rape survival. I mean, the movie is
I think it's
called
more than
Elle.
that.
It's called Elle for a reason, though. Like it really. I don't know because I have the male perspective, so I don't know. Like I just feel funny about saying like that it's a feminist take or anything, especially because it's
No,
a Paul Verhoeven movie. But I mean,
no.
yeah, there is a reason why that is the title and why they chose that specifically,
I
just
think it's
to
more
say
just so
her or
like, oh,
she.
this is the story of her. It could also just be that Elle is kind of like shorthand for Michelle.
Yeah, but the
Who
fact that
knows?
you pick a very a feminine title, like or specifically, basically, I don't know. You may as well name it female. Like there's a very
Yeah.
specific reason why it is that, and I do think a lot of that has to do with modern culture and just how we perceive women right now, and just things that certain women have to go through that are unspoken, or that at least in the media now or social media are being talked about more and more. We just see it like way more, at least as a talking point. It keeps
Hmm.
reoccurring. Either locally or there might be some major thing that happens. But yeah, I can't help but think that it is a very much a title reflective of culture right now, not just in America, but I guess just in internationally in general, worldwide.
It's fascinating because the not even the tabloids, but the trades like to make a big deal about, oh, there's no female directors for
Hmm.
female centered movies or blockbusters or whatever, and yet we have this Dutch director Paul Verhoeven who's known for his machismo filled like 80s and 90s male movies,
Hmm.
making this film called Her that is totally just a actor vehicle, and it's all about her. Like, you don't care about any other characters, not necessarily. It's just what she living through, what she dealing with, why is she doing this,
Yeah.
and it's 100% her. It probably, if there wasn't a film 3 years ago called Her in America, this probably would have been translated to just Her in America. Like if it was actually a Hollywood film like it was originally supposed to be, what would they have called it then? She, like
I mean, yeah, there's
Her
a lot of people
2016.
that like go into this movie probably in the U.S. that see the title L, and even though it's probably not something that they're thinking about, even if they might be vaguely aware, oh, that means her in French, but that could be a name to them for all they know when they're going into
Yeah.
it.
Well, this is the kind of movie though that I don't think many people are going to go into without knowing anything about it, just
Yeah.
because number
No,
one,
like
it's a foreign film, and also, yeah,
a lot of people that are
like
going into
I
this are Paul Verhoeven fans.
yeah, you and I think we wanted to see this for the same reason. We're like, oh, what's he just put out? I'm curious, but
Well,
I didn't
then
know
this is
anything
like
about it.
this is an Oscar season movie in the U.S. right now, and also it's been getting a ton of acclaim here. It's
Even still, though, I didn't know anything about it. I just knew that he did it. I knew that it had a real strong female
mhm.
performance, and that it was supposed to be his comeback. But I knew nothing else, and I was pleasantly surprised, not shocked. Like because of his filmography, it's hard to be shocked by anything. I think, like the Hollow Man rape scene is kind of the opposite of this rape scene. Well, not just in terms of just the tone and that it's instead of being realistic, it's a fantasy with the fact that the guy doing it is invisible, but that it's from
Well,
the
I have
male
not seen it,
perspective.
but yeah.
No, fucking watch Hollow Man. Like, just you got to see that, and then watch Scary Movie 2 right after it.
Believe it or not, I have not seen enough Verhoeven, or at least not as much as I've liked. The biggest one is Total Recall, and of course, RoboCop. I saw Showgirls. I saw Starship Troopers and hated it.
That's a mistake. I don't know
Maybe I
how
should
anyone
watch it
can hate
again,
that.
but
You should watch that again.
because I did not understand that movie was satire. It rung to me as a bad movie at the time. But
It's
yeah,
just a
aside from
very
this and then The Fourth Man, that's all I've seen.
all of his American stuff besides Hollow Man is super campy. They're all satire. Like Hollow Man is probably his worst film, the worst film of his that I've seen, because it takes itself entirely too seriously. Like there are jokes here or there, but it tries to be just like a science fiction thriller without any of his calling cards in it. Like it's just, oh, let's see what Kevin Bacon's like when he's a fucked up dude who's invisible. Let's see what that's like. Oh, he's invisible. Let's call him Hollow Man because he's got nothing on the inside either. Like, oh my god. But this isn't about that film. I saw that in theaters, by the way. I didn't even know who he was at the time, but that was the first film of his that I saw, I believe, and definitely the first one I saw in theaters because it's still the only one I've seen in theaters. But it's so weird that we talked about she's being a peeping Tom. Like maybe she knows it's him. It doesn't matter. She's just the hunk next door. You have this like whole fascination with her, like saying, "Oh, let me see your dick." She does that like 3 or 4 different times. But then you get this moment where she basically has like a wet dream over the gory retaliation of a rape. Like, she relives it the first time through the eyes of Marty, her cat.
Uh-huh.
And then she like is daydreaming about, oh, what if there was that ashtray up there and I pulled it and I bashed his fucking head in. And
See,
then
like I
it,
saw
like,
that though as one of those things where you've probably it's one of those, oh, what if I did this one thing differently?
Yeah.
Where it's just you have a moment where something bad happens to you and like
yeah, everyone
you just
has that moment.
yeah
Mhm.
and it's one of those things. That's how I saw that.
The way I see it, though, like I said, what like the closing image of that daydream when like it doesn't fade out, but when it comes back, transitionalizes to reality, the look
Uh-huh.
on her face is so smug. Like she smiles. She's like, "Yeah, I would have killed him," and it wasn't in terms of a like, "Ah, man," like, "Ah, I could have got away with it" or whatever. Like it's just like, "Ah," and I just knew that she was fucked up then, and I'm still led to believe that she had a hand in killing the neighborhood with her father. I don't think that she was a victim. I think that she helped him. Because when she was telling the rapist, when she's telling her neighbor at Christmas about the story, when you finally get the real
Mm-hmm.
details, like, oh yeah, and then we started throwing everything in the fire, all the tablets and the chairs and the carpets and we were about to do the clothes, and then the cops came, and she has this like line where she's maybe she doesn't tell it to him, but she says it to someone else, and she's like, like it was us, it wasn't just him, like he wasn't the monster, like we were monsters type of thing.
No, like I think that's absolutely fair. I mean, and it's just it informs her personality later and how just messed
Yeah.
up it may be in some places because
Well, not even.
even if it
Mhm.
wasn't her idea, she was still. I mean, kids are like sponges. Whatever you tell them, whatever you have them do, they'll kind of just follow along and take that as example. So she was definitely influenced by her father's actions and wasn't necessarily thinking that they were wrong at that point. I mean, she was definitely there. She probably had a hand in it, and even if she grew up to know better, it's very likely that there's still some psychopathic
I think
just
sociopathic is more
thoughts or
realistic.
just thoughts and like actions that are still forming that personality, and that's definitely it has to be a part of it. I mean, I don't fucking know how the mind works, but because of the information that this movie gives you, it's not out of the realm of plausibility to see why. Although I still like that this is a complicated person, even it kind of does negate that you have this main event, because
Hmm.
then you can just take that and chalk it up to like, oh, this person's fucked up because of things like this, rather than just you know what, I think almost every fucking person in the planet like might have some sort of weird thoughts in their head, whether they want to cop out to them or not. And for a movie to like try to find some strange reason to it, it's like it's not like I want the movie to normalize that idea, but to at least like just kind of present it as like by saying like that might not be crazy to think that someone might have some sort of strange idea that even they may not understand for whatever reason that is.
I think the real reason why Michelle hates Josie, the reason she hates her son's boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
or her son's girlfriend rather,
Yeah.
is because she sees in her a lot of herself, except she doesn't hide it from the real world. Like she's clearly a bitch, she's all over the place, a drama queen, always making a mess of everything. Whereas Michelle has done a perfect job for the last 40 years or 50 years, whatever, of letting no one in on the secret. No one knows that she's a sociopath, that she's capable of anything, of sleeping with her best friend's husband, of putting a toothpick in her ex husband's girlfriend's food, fucking not caring about her mom dying, not caring about her dad dying, maybe killing people, engaging in rape fantasies with her neighbor, despite like her neighbor being married. Like all these kinds of things are going on all the time, and she just keeps on living like the same existence where she looks perfect on the outside. At work, everyone loves her, or maybe they all hate her but they respect her. Like she's a powerful woman, she gets anything done, like nothing stops her. And then yet you get like these moments where, well, why is she letting her son work at Quick then? Like why Why is she the only one even mentioning? Like, you said your theater laughed about it, but no one says shit to her son about, your
I
son
know,
is
no, like
black, right?
she's the only one that brings it up. It's like, well, is no one going to justify this? I mean, and the thing is, he has his best friend there that also works at
Omar, yeah.
Quick, who is black, and just the
Clearly,
look on his
probably
face, like when he's looking at
implied
the
the
baby, I'm
dad.
just kind of like,
Yeah.
dude, you know that's your kid.
Oh, better
Come
than
on,
that.
he's just looking at it like, oh, that's with such affection that I
Before
mean, it's
that,
just come on.
he gets like one piece of dialogue, and the only thing he says, it's when the family shows up. They're, oh, what's wrong? And the son's trying to say what it is, and Omar goes, oh yeah, it's an aneurysm or whatever. Like, he knows what it is more so than the son does, and that's literally the only thing he says. Oh, also, like, here's your Sunday, okay. But there's this piece of dialogue before the hospital scene even happens, and Michelle says, like, are any of Josie's boyfriends moving in too? And it just kind of floats over. Like, I didn't catch that until the second time I watched that scene. But then, literally, when the baby is delivered and it's brought into the room, and no one admits it's the baby's black or anyone, but Emma, the best friend, shows up and says, "Who's a proud father?" And then the camera pans over to Omar and pushes in on him with like a smile on his face. I thought it was so
Yeah.
perfect. The breastfeeding that happens, and there's a tattoo on her tit that says, "I love Eric." It's like, who the fuck is Eric? Like, it's perfect. It's just, she is the one that is seen in this movie as the one that has issues. She's the one
Mhm.
that is complicated, that is making people, like, making her son's life, well, not only her actual son, but Michelle's son's life hell. And at the same time, like, Michelle, by all accounts, is a far worse person. You get that. The way they reconcile the affair at the end when she's walking with Emma through the cemetery, and she asked
Mhm.
her, she's just like, "Why'd you do it?" And she went, "I was bored. I wanted to get laid." And she's like, "Yeah, but the sex wasn't even good." She's like, "Yeah, I didn't care." And they just walk away like, "Oh, let's laugh about it. Maybe we'll move in together." Like, but I love that even their relationship, despite looking so good on paper, is so fucked up too. Like, you have that.
I think there's truth there, honestly, because
To
people,
everything there's
yeah,
truth
people.
there.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, like for that especially, it's like as stupid as it is, like people just act impulsively on dumb shit like that. Like, hey, why'd you fuck my girlfriend? We just kind of felt like it, and we kept doing it, and that was really it. Like, it
Mhm.
literally is that simple, and yet it almost feels like it's something that you take so personally. But then I don't know. It's just weird how things like that can resolve, or in many cases, sometimes they don't. But I don't know. Like a lot of complex thoughts here on this. It's just I love that that this movie at least presents them like just all on the surface and
Mhm.
doesn't really give you easy answers on anything.
I don't think there's any answers here. Like, there's closure in terms of some of the relationships,
Hmm. Oh
and
yeah.
in particular her
Like as a
parents. Like, they
thriller,
both
it does
die.
resolve itself.
Yeah, well, not even just a thriller. Like I'm saying, like, in terms of her dysfunctional family,
Hmm.
her parents die. That's an easy solve to that. Like, she has, like, no feelings at all over it. Like, the final thing she says to her father, the only thing she says to him all movie is, "Me coming here is the reason you died," and she's happy
Yeah.
about that. Like, but how fucked up is it? I love it. That moment right after her fake grandson is born, and you get that sequence when she's sitting with the maternity nurse.
Uh huh.
And she tells her, she's like, "Oh yeah, me and my best friend, we actually met here because our sons were born the same day. The problem was hers was stillborn, so she asked if she could breastfeed my kid, and I said
And that
yeah."
gives you enough of that of like maybe I should get back at her by doing this. Like just
No,
enough
no,
background for a motivation though. Like
it's
there's
maybe as
it's
background
like there's a lot of
motivation.
things. It's like there's definitely this sense of resentment and jealousy
Yeah,
that she doesn't get along with her son, and maybe it you could say that even if it's not a conscious decision on her part, it could be a subconscious thought of like, you know what, even if she's my best friend, she's been just a hazard in my life in so many ways. Maybe she's just subconsciously trying to get back at her in that way, and she doesn't at all
yeah.
recognize it or own up to it.
Because you have that beautiful line where she's talking to that nurse and she says, "I said yes, you could breastfeed him,"
Hmm.
and it's like, like ducks imprinting on each other when they're feeding them. That was just like a beautiful way to put it because, yeah, like she kind of stole her son away from her. And I think it's also just because she doesn't have the qualities of a mother to begin with. Like, yes, she's going to pay for his apartment, but she's not too happy about it. She doesn't care about his
Like she's a
happiness.
worker, she's
Yeah,
not some Susie homemaker type
mhm.
mom.
Like she's just gonna tell her son straight up, and when no one else can, that's not your son. He's black. We're gonna need a DNA test. Like
Yeah.
she's just 100% with him. Doesn't care that he's happy for like 5 seconds for the first time in his life. Like doesn't care about like, oh, your car breaking down and you having to quit your job. Why the fuck did you quit your job? You got a kid and you got a place to live. Like she has no sympathy for him, and it makes sense because
Well, I think
you know
it's not that she doesn't care, it's just that she's a more practical mom, not really
no, I think
driven
she
by emotion.
literally. I think she doesn't care. I think she's a sociopath. I think she can't feel guilt or remorse.
I don't
That
feel
it's
that way.
only ever
I
about her.
I think that yeah, she definitely thinks about herself, but I don't think that she just doesn't care at all. Like I don't know. I don't want to criticize you for projecting certain things
Yeah,
onto this
maybe.
because you could be, to be honest.
I think it's more so the
But it's not.
research.
She's not that
Mm.
self-centered. I don't think. I
Well,
mean,
okay,
yeah,
let me put
sociopath.
it this
Sure, I
way.
can go with that, but it doesn't mean that she doesn't give a shit at all on any level. That she might be putting herself forward and like how things affect her, but she's certainly not acting like it by stating it up front.
I'm not saying these things to paint her as a bad person. I don't think
Hmm.
that's the case at all. What I am saying is through her upbringing, between what we barely know about either of her parents, but it's clearly dysfunctional. She went through a lot, more than probably anyone else on the planet, to be honest.
Hmm.
And you have that photograph, the Ash Girl photograph, where she even talks about it. She's like, a photographer got a picture of me, and there's just no emotion in my face, and I feel it looks like I'm dead, basically. And I think once that event happened, when she was so young, she was only 10 years old, that she no longer was in what we consider human, that she
Like
became a sociopath.
she
And
just
you're
has
right,
this
like
huge
maybe,
disconnect with people, and it's like I'm sure like
yeah,
it might be it's not Asperger's, but it's one of those things where it's like I'm sure on some level she cares, but she doesn't necessarily know how to communicate it or
no, I
act on
literally
it.
think she doesn't care. Like literally, like she cares about her ex-husband's happiness. Yes, but that's only because he's happy and she's not responsible for it. That's it. And that's jealousy. Jealousy is not the same as caring. That is caring about yourself so much that you hate that someone else is happy.
Hmm.
Like you said that based on what I went through earlier, that I'm kind of imprinting things. I definitely am, but I think it's more so just the research that I went through and trying to reconcile why my romance went bad and what I started describing her as to other people was partially accurate, but is 100% accurate about Michelle's character here, based off of just the little that we know about her and the lot that we know about her actions in terms of the party, the neighbors, the sexual conquests, just everything she does. It doesn't seem like she ever cares about anyone. The people that she works with, especially Kevin, the nerdy guy,
Hmm.
that, let me see your dick. I won't fire you if you let me see
Okay,
your
yeah, but I
dick.
mean that's
Like,
different. When you're talking about a mom and her kid, like I honestly do believe, like it's not just old-fashioned values of like, oh, of course a mother is going to be connected to her children, but she cares enough to at least help out, even if she's begrudgingly doing it with the rent. She cares enough to, even if she criticizes him for quitting his job, which, you know what? I was actually completely on her side at that point. I thought, dude, are you
oh yeah,
really quitting your job just because your car broke down? Like, I mean, that was one of those things where, well, I'll finish this
especially
point, but
because
like,
she
yeah, when
just
that
got in
happened,
an
I thought, yeah,
accident.
and then later on, she does actually throw him a bone though and say, hey, why don't you help out with this party that we got? It'll be a good gig for you. It's like you can't throw these things around to someone if you don't care. So, I mean, maybe not at like a level of 100%, but like I don't think she's careless. I think on some level, even if she knows that she's fucked up, she's definitely trying to be better in some way. There's some like she's a complicated human being and trying to be generous in moments, but obviously is not in others.
I think there's a difference though between doing something because you're kind of expected to, and wanting to actually do something. And from what I
Still
see
though,
of this
like she
character,
didn't. I do feel like even if you kind of do something because you're expected to, it's like even when I don't know if someone gives you a compliment or gives you a bone because they feel that they have to. They don't necessarily have to do it, but the fact that they feel like they do, to me, still like it's enough to say that on some level they have to care, because I don't know, maybe it's my naive beliefs, but like I just seriously don't think that you can be that careless on some like on some level you have to give a shit.
I lived through dealing with someone that reminds me a lot of this character recently, and the only
A
way
very
that
young version though, like
sure,
that's
but the only much in the same way that you don't know much about this character, I don't
yeah.
know much about her upbringing. It's a mystery to me still, and much in the same way that it's hard to really understand why Michelle is doing so much here or there. It was the same thing for me. I was like, why did this happen? Huh? And after a certain amount of time, I just went, it's not even worth living, like struggling with. Just fuck it. It happened. Live with it. Move on. Tell people about it. Laugh about it if you have to. Get drunk and cry, whatever. But just keep on moving. And that's exactly what Michelle's doing here. Like I'm surprised that we don't see her with any vices. Like yeah, she does use men, and like sexual conquest is a big thing for her. Like even in terms of the workplace, not even necessarily like her having sex in her office or like sexually assaulting or sexually harassing her coworker, but then even in terms of what the video game is being made like I need to see more orgasmic convulsions. Like just that piece of dialogue.
Which I mean, it's stuff like that, like which you see where all those things could also be coming from, but it's also from a practical side of like, no, we need to sell this. This needs to make money. There is a thing where by design you see what it's supposed to do, but then also it's fucked up like in a certain place where you totally see the strange motive that's there.
Like I said, I think that's just a Verhoeven artistic flourish because. Yeah. I didn't say it here, but in the review proper, most of his gore or sexual,
it's very provocative.
Yeah, all of his grandiose expressionism is kind of secluded to the video game here, sticks. And it's like, well, we can't really do, or I can't really do this stuff because it doesn't fit the story, doesn't fit the tone, so I'll just throw it in the video game. And I think that was also in terms of world building and character building in terms of who Michelle is, what she cares about. She doesn't care that the controls are broken and the game doesn't play at all. All she cares about is this cinematic where this woman gets raped, and she wants it to be as real as possible. Not that the rape looks real, but that her orgasm is real. And I think that totally pays into the fact that when she got raped, the reason she didn't go to the cops isn't because she didn't want to or that they couldn't help, but because she enjoyed it. That she just picked up the pieces and cleaned up and took a bath and got tested. But like if you're getting a text message that's saying shit like, oh, you're so tight for a woman your age, or what's the other one? I had to translate it myself, but it was basically the extent of like my sperm like loved being inside you type of thing.
You won't have to wash these sheets. It'll blend in your blouse. My cum will.
Is that what it said?
So you don't have to wash it. That was one of those texts. But I mean, you could jump to those conclusions about her, but I think just because you're presenting a complicated human being, I don't know if she's necessarily aware of her thoughts and her feelings. That could very well be it, but I don't think that she consciously knows them throughout the movie until later when there is foreplay down in that basement and they are deliberately acting on it in that way where they're trying to get off with what's essentially a rape fantasy or consensual rape in a way. But like I don't know, it's very strange to I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of truth there, if more truth if she's not necessarily aware of it and just kind of discovering that on her own.
This whole film is truth, and the reason that most of this conversation has been about what the character is and what her motives are and if she has compassion, all these things, is because it is such an actualized version of reality that it seems more than a movie.
You cannot peg them on the surface.
Yeah, that this isn't a film. Like, this is a slice of life. Like I said, this is like 2016 incarnate. Generally, I don't like films that make me think like this or make me question or even that I want to talk about to this extent. But this is one of those. And it's unlike his other works because those don't do that. Like, yeah, I can talk about RoboCop for like hours on end, but that's in terms of what I really like about it or how it kind of began or
Stylistic
helped.
flourishes, or just
Yeah,
the humor, or just the badass moments. Like this
the way
is,
it's the soundtrack, the way it like
yeah,
the scoring, the way it began, like the hard R superhero film, which everyone thinks is a new thing now because of Deadpool. Like, there's a lot of things RoboCop did right, but those are just in terms of oh, look how badass this movie is. Whereas this is wow, like this is just a really great piece of filmmaking that you're able to actualize a completely complicated woman in a very unnatural segment of her life that how many people have we met who even have met a serial killer, let alone their father is one, that they're involved in that some way, that they're like I'm sure most people have met someone that have cheated around and fucked other men when they're in relationship with others. I know
oh
I
yeah,
have. Ha ha
yeah.
ha. But the way that you almost sympathize with her because of the rape backdrop, but it makes you question so many things, not just about her, but about the world at large and what humans are capable of, or even incapable of. Love in this case, I don't think Michelle loves anything but herself. Maybe her success, maybe her son,
Hmm.
even if she has a tough way of showing that. But it's really interesting, and I know I'll see this one again, maybe in some years down the road.
Yeah, like
But
not
I
not
said it.
instantly. No, it's
No, yeah.
probably, I don't know. When you're
I
talking about Verhoeven's work though in the future, this one's definitely going to come up in conversation. All the stuff in the 80s and 90s from Hollywood, that's always going to be the forefront of the conversation. But then this one will come up and it'll be like, no, you really, really should check this out. I think, this and Fourth Man, honestly, I keep bringing it up, but man, I'm amazed that so many people have not even talked about that movie enough. Like, it's really
we're,
that good.
we're gonna be seeing Trick next week,
Hmm.
but I have a feeling that that film is gonna be real similar to that this one in that it it's something that you don't see frequently, and yet it's just composed so well that you're kind of blindsided. Like, oh, this is the same director. This is the guy that made Total Recall. It's like, yeah, this is him. He just when he's not
He's
going
kind
over the
of
top.
he's sort of going the
Hmm.
Francis Ford Coppola route, except
In reverse.
succeeding.
Yeah.
Like yeah, because I mean this is very different, and he is trying to challenge himself. Coppola, God bless him because he's experimenting. He knows he's peaked with Godfather and Apocalypse Now, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Wait,
But
wasn't Phantom of the Paradise after Godfather Part 2?
that was De Palma.
Was that that's
Yeah,
Obama, that's
yeah.
right.
Which you know what, kind
They
of
have
the same
similar
deal.
careers.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have similar careers, man.
yeah. Well,
Like
except though
they
De Palma, like he has the status, but I don't think he has that major success
Scarface.
that tanked at the time.
But even
He's got
now,
the cult
it's
status.
the major
He has
success.
movies that are hits, yeah, but like no, it's never been at the level of like Godfather, Apocalypse Now, where he gets Oscars or anything. De Palma never won an Oscar, I don't think.
No, he definitely didn't. But I know
Yeah,
his earlier films like Sisters and Phantom of the Paradise and
Carrie,
yeah, Carrie.
yeah,
Also the not Peeping Tom, but his remake of it. All of his Hitchcockian
Body
films,
Double,
Body
yeah.
Double. Yeah, like all of those are supposed to. I haven't seen most of them. I mean, I've seen
They're
Carrie,
well
but
regarded, but like I
yeah.
don't know, Godfather's considered like one of the greatest films of all time. Whereas like the stuff from De Palma, those are more like classics. But regardless, like yeah, this is definitely, if you want to call it later Verhoeven or whatever, like it'll definitely be one that even if it's not the most rewatchable, it's definitely one that'll still be talked about in the years to come. I
I think
hesitate to
this
say that I love it, but I will definitely remember it.
I think this is rewatchable though because it's such a fascinating journey that you're never taken on,
But
and it's with a character that's utterly fascinating because you can't really, you're not living it with them. You're just kind of spectating because
it's worth
it's
studying and looking into.
uh
But
huh.
I mean, when I say replay value, it's just like how,
Oh
because
yeah,
of the
there's
subject
yeah,
matter.
you know what's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
well,
Yeah.
then just like how often are you going to be compelled to revisit this? It's just RoboCop is more fun. Total Recall is more fun and badass. It's not a mark against the movie. It's just how often do you want to watch someone trying to overcome rape and then figuring out that kind of getting into it later on, like, and
I don't
not
like
in
I
a
said
sexy way at all.
I don't think this is at all about someone overcoming a rape. Like, I think that is just the inciting incident. It's what we're presented to kind of know from the get-go. Hey, this is a character that has been through a lot of shit, so much so that a rape doesn't even startle her. She's just gonna keep on living.
It's a lot.
Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not. It's just it's one of the many ways that this will be talked about. Like, it'll get that irreversible label of like, okay, it's that rape movie. Sadly, it's gonna be one of the first words that come up when you talk about this movie. Like, even for people that haven't seen it, I'm sure that they're gonna be like, oh, that's the movie about the rape, right? That's all it's gonna be known as, which is kind of sad, but it's still a huge part of it.
Swiss Army Man is more than a farting corpse
exactly.
movie. Sing Street is more than no.
That one you just say, hey, it's a feel-good movie. Just watch it.
It's a feel-good 80s musical. It's great. Go watch it. Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents. I'll recap what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on Debt to Cinema, where one or both of us crosses a title off our list of shame.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter, or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
We're available on iTunes, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, and constantly looking to expand to other platforms.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Debt to Cinema request, or even if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BRYONGILLIS, and now you know how to spell the email too, and also under the same name on the Loveviews site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.